It's been, well, not quite 24 hours. This is a reboot. Let's just call this a reboot, reset from yesterday's broadcast about cash flow. And I hope that everybody who was here yesterday will tune back in. I just got a notification from YouTube saying we're live. I'm live. We're live.
Yes, we are. We are live. We're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter. So we're there. We're out there, and you guys, you can join us one of these days too. So pay attention. We love guests. But let's get to the topic. I'm excited. I am super excited because our last conversation we were talking about different kinds of um, financial streams that come into our lives, different ways we can actually make money from linear all the way to residual So the question that came up is, how do we know what to choose? How do we know the opportunity that's in front of us is a really good one for us? The reason I really want to dive into this, you guys, I've been in the entrepreneurial world. I've been training a lot of experts who are brilliant, who are creative. They want to go out there and make a difference in the world. And guess what? A lot of them have in common: the shiny object syndrome. That means that they see opportunities everywhere, everything that looks great, and they do too many things. I've been guilty of that myself, by the way, okay? Creative people, brilliant creative people who are entrepreneurs. I mean, that's what makes us so good, right? We try things, we take risks, we create. But if we're not smart about it, if we're not assessing the opportunities properly, why do you have a golf club?
No, no. Hey, you don't know where this is going. You don't know where this is going.
With you, I never know where it's going. So I had to say, I mean, there is a story behind that, but let's just get to, I have to say, I am so enjoying these times together. Okay, so just to finish my thought. So it's about assessing the opportunities. And so, Seth, I want to dive right into it. I know that you have the key elements that you look at when you're assessing an opportunity. So let's dive into it. And you see opportunities come your way. I know you have a lot of opportunities come your way, because I was one of those people. Hey, Seth, look at what we can do, and you were like, well, let me think about it. What's going to happen? How it's going to happen? And I love the way you were asking questions, the discernment process. Okay, so you guys, this is a pro, and if you haven't been on our calls before, build multi-million dollar businesses, not just one, several multi-million dollar businesses. And so, I'm learning, we're sharing, and so pay attention. So now that's Seth, it's yours. The mic is yours, as they say.
Well, I wanted the golf club, actually. Can I have it?
Sure, you can have the golf club, but what are you going to do with it?
That's dangerous in the studio.
Yeah.
Well, I love this topic, and we're going to dive in, and we're going to have a conversation. And I know you're going to be asking me some questions and giving some insights from your deep entrepreneurial experience. I remember I remember the beginning of my career before I became an entrepreneur. And by the way, I would have voted myself most unlikely to become an entrepreneur because opportunity, kind of opportunities on the outside of the box. You're in this box, your life, your schedule, your expectations, your current skill set, your current mindset. Well, those are all topics for other days, but you're in this box. That's your life. And opportunity, even just the definition of opportunity, means that we got to move outside that box, and it's scary. It's out, like sometimes I refer to it, outside the chicken coop, right? I was in corporate America. I kind of was in the chicken coop. I had feed, right? They were paying me. I had a little job that I got to do. You know, I was protected from the wolves and the foxes and the raccoons and the skunks and the minks. I'm actually just talking about the animals that prey on my chickens right now. This is kind of like a real life scenario. Um, and venturing outside opportunity introduced the unknown. It introduced, you know, potential risks. It introduced it introduced me to my whole set of fears. So I really love that we're having this conversation because in my experience, opportunity is what unlocked a greater and more fulfilling life. So just like one of my favorite games growing up and still is, should have brought my Monopoly money. Um, Monopoly, right? Opportunity, those opportunity cards. And when opportunity knocks, right? When opportunity knocks, are you going to open up that door? So I want to get into this 6-point evaluation system. But I want to give you 3 steps, right? Not 1 step forward, 2 step back, but I want to give you 3 steps. And you know, I'm a dancer, so let's waltz today. 1, 2, 3.
Let's
1, 2,
waltz.
3.
I'm a dancer too, so totally, let's do this.
Yes. I knew you'd pick up on that beat that I was
Yeah.
laying down. Step 1 is being open to opportunity. I'm not even to I'm not to the how do you evaluate an opportunity. I'm saying you're not going to see those unless you have a mindset that is open to opportunity. In my early career in corporate America, I was not open to opportunity. Opportunities, some actually showed up on my door.
I want to dive into that just for a second on a mindset. Because what I find is that a lot of people who are not open to the opportunity are so afraid of what's going to happen. And so the way I see it, just because you're looking at the opportunity doesn't mean you have to do anything except look. A lot of them are afraid. They don't even want to look at it because they just automatically think they're going to be going down a rabbit hole or whatever it is, right? So dividing it, just because you're looking at it doesn't mean you're in danger. You're safe. Just look at it. Would you say that's an important part of the mindset shift?
I think it's huge. I think that's brilliant, actually. And I think it's absolute opportunity. Like life is a banquet table, and you have that place setting in front of you. I know we were just in chicken coops, and now we're at a beautiful banquet
I know,
table.
right? Is somebody having a fabulous lunch waiting for him, or what?
Pretty soon we're going to be on on a tee golfing. I don't know, but life is a banquet table, and you have an invitation to that banquet table, and you have a place setting on that banquet table, and it is a big table full of all the most delicious and nutritious and amazing foods from all over the world, and you get to choose what you want. But opportunity is saying, what is that? Right? What is that? What's on the table? Hey, can you pass that down? Right? You can get to that point, but even if you were just to take a very cursory look beyond whatever's on your plate,
So
maybe it's
nobody's shoving food down your throat. They're just saying, "Here's what's on this buffet table. What would you like?"
yeah.
And yeah, so you're not in danger. I love that analogy of especially foods from all over the globe because I love traveling, so I love tasting all the different foods. So I just beautiful visual right there. So okay,
So
we have the
you
buffet.
said it. It doesn't have to be dangerous. Evaluating is not risk taking. In fact, if you're an analytical person, um, then evaluating lots of opportunities makes a ton of sense. By the way, right? Because as you evaluate, I mean, I would much rather evaluate a number of opportunities if I've never come into this space, if I've never been an entrepreneur, right? I, I'd rather evaluate a number of things so that when something does fit, you know it fits,
Yeah.
right? Now, is there love at first sight? Absolutely. I mean, was there luck involved? Was there some divine coincidence in my life? Absolutely. I didn't evaluate 23 opportunities in the business world before I decided to do one. For all of you analytics out there, by the way, go to work, go to work, right? But anyway, let's just, step one is being open, having a mindset to say, I'm looking for opportunity. I'm looking for growth. I'm looking for more than I have now. Number two is your network, the people that you associate with, the people that are part of your education path, the people that you hang around, right, socially. Also, the people, and that can be different, by the way, I suppose to an extent, from the people you might hang around professionally. But if you want to level up, or if you want to do like a serious reset and really just say, I'm tired of being on the third floor. I want to be on the fourth floor. I want to be on the 10th floor, right? I want a better view. I want better food. Then you have to look at your network, because the network that you associate yourself with will determine, in conjunction with your attitude, your mindset, to the opportunities that come across your
Which
door.
by the way, it's coming up in this series, okay? Evaluating the people of value, opportunities of
Mm,
value, okay? So you guys stay tuned, because this is huge. Huge, because we listen to people around us. They infect our mindset. Okay. We get infected with their attitudes. And so it's not just affecting, it's infecting, And so we're going to be looking at that. And yeah, just stay tuned. So,
absolutely.
sorry, got the networking there. You know
Yeah.
me, I can't help it, right? I hear something, I have to jump in.
I mean, I could tell you this. And again, there's divine coincidence. There's just being in the right place at the right time, which has a lot to do with your mindset and what you've been doing and all the other actions, right? You create and you attract the most luck you ever had. There's God in your life putting you in certain places and bringing certain things to you. Um, and then there's the action you take with your network. But I can tell you, I'm here right now today, with who I am, which is more important than any money I have, by the way. With who I am, with the experiences that I've had, the incredible successes, and all of the learning experiences. That's not just a play on words, and I'm not just coming up with a fancy way of saying failures. They were learning experiences. What I've created, the people I've touched, all of that. And I can come down to this: when I started to be open minded, and that came in grades, by the way. It wasn't like just one day I flipped the switch and I illuminated everything. It's like, it's like this ring light that I've got here, right? It's like this ring light, and you can turn it down, right? You can turn it on, and you just got a little. And I want you to just imagine that maybe you just turn it on, it's just a couple of lights. And then you turn it on, and those couple of lights get bigger, and they get bigger, and they get bigger. And then maybe it's a couple more, and then you're turning on the brightness. I mean, that's what it's really like. And then all of a sudden it becomes illuminating. I can tell you, because of that mindset and my network, I'm here today. I can connect the dots, and you can't really connect the dots until this happens. You can connect the dots as you look back.
So it's one of
Okay.
those hindsight things as you're
Yeah.
going through it, you're just like, oh, wow, that was huge. And the dots are connected. I know exactly what you're talking about. Same thing here. Do you think well, for that reason, it's important for us to every now and then stop and evaluate, assess where we are, what we have?
What are we doing really well right now? You know, what do we need? What are we not doing well? Right. Here's a simple triplet. What do we need to start? What do we need to stop? And what do we need to continue doing? What do I need to start doing right now that I'm not doing? What do I need to stop doing that really is not serving me? And what do I need to continue to do, doing that I should be doing? So, but
Wonderful.
let me say this about network. I can count literally just a few people. In fact, I'm thinking of one good friend, two friends, Brooke and Keith. and my networking and my open-mindedness in my early corporate career. Okay. So, and again, I don't look back at my corporate career, those 10 years, and say, wow, it was terrible. It's part of who I am. Every piece of experience that you have, I wouldn't have me in my story, in my passion, in my brightness, my brilliance, my direction and speed right now, had I not had that experience. Okay. But Brooke was combining my open-mindedness with my network, him, that put me on my first corporate job, which actually put me in touch with one of his partners years through that 10 years, which then put me into that partner retired and became my mentor and my business partner. We started a business together, my first entrepreneurial venture in the clothing world. Well, that connection then led me to start another company separate and bring him to my company. And I got further mentoring. And that opportunity helped me make my first $1 million and create a whole new network, which then put me into the next opportunity that I created that type of success faster, which then, right, I mean, all of those things were a chain reaction. And even though Keith, dear friend of mine, and Brooke, who I would consider dear friends and mentors, they're further ahead in their investment, in their business, in their life strategy and experience. They were half a generation ahead of me, right? That 10 to 20 years, 10 to 15 years. I can account so much of where I am today, not because they were with me the entire time, but they were with me a significant amount of time. And that connection, my open-mindedness, my mindset at the time, with what however bright and illuminative it was, with their networking, the opportunity that they brought to me. And now we're going to get to the third step, which is how do you evaluate those opportunities, right? But Anne, it is so tremendously powerful to see the influence that these two men had on the first part of my career.
That
It's astounding.
that is so important. I want to make sure. So whenever you say something, I listen. I want to unpack everybody. It's just if you're not used to it by
That's
now,
what you do.
get used to it, right? you know, so whenever we have a mentor that we're aligned with, it's about building trust. It takes time to build trust. There's something there. You listen, you learn, you try it, you build trust, you show up for each other. um Anytime a mentor shows up, you have to show up. They're investing in you, you have to invest in them. And that's one thing I know about you, Seth. You show up, you invest in your people. You invested in me without really knowing, and it was because of your evaluation system. I want to give credit to that. You were evaluating, and the people you're investing in, the people you're mentoring, the people who are mentoring you. So it's a process. It's super super important. So if you don't have the mentors that you want, look in a mirror. Who do you need to be to attract the mentors that you want? Are you sharing? Are you implementing what's being poured into you? And this is what I know for my personal, right? I mean, there are only so many hours we have in mentoring people. We want to make sure we're investing in the right people. And so we're always looking, because there's something very gratifying to see somebody you're pouring into is actually doing things and skyrocketing. And that builds trust. That builds a track record you can keep building on. So what you just described started with them mentoring you, then you started another business, brought them in, then so it's going back and forth. And the sometimes the student becomes the teacher becomes the student,
Mm.
and that's when it's really flowing. Anyways, we're going down a rabbit hole,
No,
but
I want
I
to stay there.
love being in that space.
I want to stay there for a minute. And we, you know what, I think we may have to dive into the 6-point evaluation on our next episode. I'll leave that to you. I
Okay.
mean, we'll drop it here today, but I feel bad about just dropping. Say, here are the 6 points, boom, and not developing them. But we're
So
going
it
to
will be
probably
part
be beyond
two.
our.
It will
Yeah,
be
it'll
part
be
two of the
part two.
effort. Yeah. Okay.
But so today we're talking about the 3 steps to get to those opportunities: mindset, network, and then the 6 point, which we will drop to you today. But you're talking about the network, and you talked about the mentors, and I want to just impress upon your minds just the influence that your network has. And we were talking recently, and we've all heard, sometimes we take it to be cliche, that you are basically the average, right? You're going to have the average lifestyle, the average mindset, the average financial, right, life of the 5 or 6 people. I think it's 5, people that are closest to you. Um, and that's brilliant. And it's spot on. But I want to expand that, because you talked about getting, how do you interact with your mentors? Are you giving value, or are you getting value, et cetera, et cetera? Within your network, you have lots of people. I'm gonna go with the 5 that you want to be like, right? You have peers. Early on in my career, I also had I'm gonna call them peer mentors. Okay. You kind
Okay.
of got peer mentors, and then you've got big mentors, right? You've got mentors who are ahead of you. I had a small set of peer mentors who were in relatively the same space that I was. We were all working basically corporate jobs. We had all had enough experience to know that we wanted to be outside of the chicken coop. We were all getting information from bigger mentors, including books, right? Not just mentors aren't just the live people that you're fortunate enough, my Brooke or my Keith, right? Or my Diane, right? Or another host of, the live mentors I've had. They may be, they may be programs. They may be, a channel. They may be people who are dropping the podcast. Oh, yours truly. Yours truly. I'm saying that in plurality. Ann and I, we may be, filling some of that role for you. My peer mentors were all hungry. Their their current bank accounts were not yet representative of their passions, their directions, right, and the investments that they were making. In other words, this was like a hungry pack of wolves. We were hungry guys that wanted to accomplish something. We were not being average, right? Just like you don't have to accept being average. Don't be average. Be astounding. So you got to work with that group. They poured into me, and I poured into them, and then we went to work, right? We didn't just sit around drinking beers. I don't drink, but drinking beers and dreaming about the future, right? So you got to have a peer group that's running. And none of us were building the same business, by the way. None of us actually were building companies together at that time. You've got that group that you need to have. That's kind of like the average. Like when we're talking about the average people you hang around, most of us are not hanging around all of our big mentors all of the time. Why? Because we're not peers. Like Brooke and Keith were not my peers. I was not their peer. I didn't get to hang around in their inner circles, especially early in my career, right? For maybe the higher level stuff. I was on an outer circle, still within their in their spheres of influence, and I got to pick up on opportunities that they had. I don't know if this is making sense.
Oh, it
But
is. So to make it easier for everybody, basically, there is that bullseye where you want to be. Those are the mentors are in there. That's the inner circle that's there. And then we're like on the outside of it, interacting with people that are our peers. They're similar mindset, similar attitudes, similar, in many ways, hungry, like you said, wanting to go to the next level. And so, and I found it very interesting that you said none of you were really in the same business. Like with the way I put things together is what I call the co-op collaborative, right?
Mm.
It's basically focusing on, well, who else does my client need to be supported by to be successful? And then say, hey, let's collaborate, let's support each other because we're going to be benefiting from each other. And so, do you think it's important to actually be similar? Like, for example, my clients would greatly benefit by your business mindset.
Mm.
So, should we have, people around us, our collaborative partners, if you will, who are hungry on the same level, to to have something in common, so we're all rising together.
Yeah, and sometimes we call that a mastermind, right? Um, so you've got your inner circle of people that you may be masterminding with. Maybe you're building a business together. You have people who may be in on that close inner circle who are masterminding. You and I are masterminded on projects before we ever built something. We were building different areas. We decided to collaborate. Collaboration is so critical. It's different than selling. It's different than just joint, even sometimes just joint partnering. Collaboration is ultimately creating that win-win when you said, well, but we're doing different things. We're playing different sports. We're doing different games. Yes, you might be, but how can what I'm doing benefit you in a big way and you and me? Anyway, so you got that inner circle and maybe some people you're building a business. You've got that close knit people who you're masterminding with. Again, that they're maybe in real estate, or they're health coaches, and you are in it. You have a different a different set of skills, but coming together and collaborating, you can get further ahead than you ever would. Right? Maybe that coach isn't getting the marketing done that they need because they don't know how to create the systems to go one to many, whatever, something like that. It's not just client provider relationships are important. They absolutely, I mean, every business has to have them, and you want to have lots of those, but power is in those collaborative relationships that are multiplying. But off to your big mentors, like I'm not sitting, even today, my big mentors, I don't sit in their inner circle as much. Sometimes I might be invited in. Like I'm the small kid on the block there. And here's one thing I want to drop. This is so important. Again, open-mindedness and mindset was step one. Step two in this dance was your network. We've talked about your inner circle and masterminds and collaboration. I'm talking about your big mentors. You better make sure that you respect and bring as much. Let's face it. If they're the big mentors, and if I'm the small kid on the block, what value am I going to bring? Well, one of the values I can bring is to push on, to give life to my mentor's legacy. Now, how do you do that? By shutting my mouth and listening way more than I ever speak. That's number one. It's like when I want to speak and I'm in a table, full of people who are 10 times my net worth, 10 times my net experience, or 10 times, double, right? I should have a whole lot more to learn and listen and learn and implement than I ever say. This is not the time for me to kind of brag on what I'm doing. Listen, they've already experienced what I've experienced 2, 3, 4, 10 times over. I need to listen, number one. Number two, I need to ask questions.
That's where I was waiting for.
Okay.
Wait. Okay.
So
Yeah.
when I am speaking, I'm not there teaching. I'm not there telling them what I've done. I mean, this is like it's like Pinocchio going to the wood carver, telling him how to carve. No, I'm going to ask them questions. So when I am speaking in those settings, I might have 10 questions. I'm going to start with the best question, right? I want to ask the great questions bring great answers and great insight.
Listening. Okay. Ask the question, listen, and ask the next question. That's the formula, right? It's good. I don't know. I found that sometimes I may have the main question, is it the best question, the most important one? And just listening to the answer, all of a sudden, I don't need to ask the other question because another one has come up.
Yeah.
That's even more important and more insightful, if you will, right? And interestingly enough, I find that when we are doing that, you can see their eyes light up because, yeah, that's feeding. Is that, yeah, you see, I can see it in your eyes right
I
now.
love that.
Yeah, yeah. So back over to you. This is so good. Yum.
Ask questions, formulate great questions, listen to the answers, and dig deeper. Okay. Great questions, listen, and then dig deeper. Don't just stay on the surface. If it, sometimes you'll that tap root will take you to some major discoveries. That's one way you honor the mentor mentee relationship. There's no, it's you don't go to people and say, "Will you be my mentor?" and then give them nothing. Sometimes you pay for mentoring. Listen, I pay for mentoring. Be prepared to pay for mentoring. You might be fortunate to have some mentoring relationships where you don't pay in cash, right? But you better, but there's an investment, and there's just nothing like being a mentor and have people just flock to you and say, I want to be, I want to be mentored by you, and then it's not a take. It's your responsibility to, through asking questions and listening and digging deeper, to then take their information and continue their legacy. And sometimes you're also able to bless their lives in some way, but you seek to give back to that relationship. Don't be a taker. Don't solely be a taker. You're in a situation where they have more to give you than you probably have to give them, but that doesn't mean that you still can't leave a blessing with them. You don't have to
I
give them
love it.
a $10,000 or $1,000,000, but you can say, you know what, I have this. I know it's just a small token that's so important in honoring those relationships with your network and your mentor. Make sure that you don't take advantage. I can look back on my career sometimes, especially being young, and sometimes when there's such a big step between you and your mentors, you might just, like, I was really fortunate that between me and my mentors, it wasn't just a staircase. It wasn't a step; it was a staircase. Right? I was at the bottom, and they were on the third floor, and you can get a little starstruck, right? I mean, they're larger than life. They're real people. They have real demands in their life. They have real struggles. And so I found, I mean, I'm kind of being a little vulnerable with you, that maybe I was a taker sometimes. Like, hey, I need this. They can hook me up, right? I mean, okay. I'll tell you one time. This is, I'm middle of my career, middle last part of my career. I'm in college. I need a laptop. So I decide, well, my mentor runs this big company, and he's low. I mean, running this multi-billion-dollar company, and I'm struggling because I'm just working my way up the company. I've got a very limited income. Wow, I bet he could hook me up. I could bet he could hook me up. So I called him. Hey man, can you hook me up with a computer? And I don't say I did anything wrong necessarily, but as I look back, because in the moment I didn't recognize anything, but as I look back, I think, I wonder, I wonder how he took that. You know what he did? He one of his technology guys, and they connected me with a Toshiba laptop, for college. But I wonder if I honored that relationship. I don't know. I don't have
So,
the answer.
yeah, I want to
But
kind of dive in there a little bit, because I find that your mindset, my mindset, is more important than the action itself. So, in your case, as I'm listening to you, um, your motive for connecting with him, oh, he could hook me up, right? As opposed to, you know what? I need some help. Who can I go to who would be happy to support me? Who sees the opportunity that they can invest in me? So all of a sudden, it was like, who values me for who I am, and I know that mentors I've been supported by mentors, and I've supported many myself. So it's a give and take all the time. And I think that your mindset at that time. So if we were to switch your mindset and saying, you know what? I know that he knows I'm working really hard. He knows that I'm showing up. I'm doing whatever I can. I will do whatever to support him. I'm honoring his legacy. He can see his work through me, making a difference in people's lives. And if I tell him I need a laptop to do this, this, and this, I bet you he would be happy to support me, as opposed to, hey, let me see who I can hook up. you know,
Yeah.
does that make sense? I think, knowing what I know about you, I believe, and not knowing him, but I know like-minded people attract like-minded people. I believe that he saw the value in you, and I believe that he was happy to support you to get the laptop. So I think that's more of like an internal thing. And the reason I'm saying that, because I had to do it myself a few times. I'm like, ooh, who's got,
Yeah.
But then, yeah, but then when I saw their response, they were like, oh yeah, I'd love to help you. So anyways, just those of you who are watching, it's your mindset. Show up giving and be willing to receive from a place of gratitude, as opposed to from a place of manipulation. Right? What do you think?
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. And seek to be a producer, a creator, a giver, as opposed to simply a consumer or a taker. So
Love it. So
uh,
so since we have
we got
basically
to
run
drop
out of
those six.
time.
We got to drop those 6
I
points
know.
right
So
now.
we're gonna do that. Okay, we're gonna go right on to, I'm
You're
gonna
going to
go
drop
full
that slide
screen over
in.
here, and we're gonna do that. The first thing, go for it. The company.
Okay. So here's step 3 of this waltz about cash flow and opportunity. And that is having a codified, a standardized kind of system that you can fall back on as you make evaluations of these opportunities that you're seeking to make your life better, right? You don't want to run over here, and you talked about the shiny object syndrome, and run over here and run over here. And, you know, like if you're going to go build a business and an opportunity, you're going to have to invest in it. And you're not going to be building 5 of these at the same time. You're just not. Right? You'll be grateful when you find one that's great and you put your time into it and get it set up, and then maybe you can go ride another horse. But don't go try. You're not going to go riding 5 horses at the same time. So you better pick a really good horse, right? So number 1 of these 6 points is I always make an evaluation of the company. And maybe we'll take, during part 2 of this, we'll dive deeper into what I'm going to look for and pros and cons. Keep in mind, this is a subjective process. It's not objective. It's not a black or white factual. Listen, you're going to evaluate things differently than I am. Sorry, I had an emergency text coming through there. You're gonna
Well, why don't we quickly go through it, and we'll just let them know what we're going to be
Okay.
covering next week. Why don't we do
Okay.
that?
Let's do that. So number 1 is the
I'll go
company.
full screen. Okay.
Number 2 is the product or products, right? But it's typically the thing that's going out to the consumer, right? Product or service, durable, consumable, repeatable. Third is the timing. What's the timing of the opportunity itself? Now, sometimes people think that, oh, how young is he? Well, that could be a part of timing, but timing is the overall opportunity and the chances that you have to make impact depending on what your goals are. Okay. Number 4, it's the bigger trends that are happening in the marketplace. Nobody is independent. I'm not independent. Anne's not independent of trends. Just because I want something and I'm going to will something doesn't mean that the market's going to sustain it, right? There are factors that are way bigger than any one person or even sometimes millions of people. So you need to know, importantly, where the trends are and where they are going. And when you're really good, knowing where they will be. Number 5, compensation. You money? What's the return on your investment? What are you seeking to create? How is that created? Who's going to get paid? How are they going to get paid? How long are they going to get paid? Okay. Critical, obviously. This is a business. And finally, systems. What are the systems involved so that this amazing opportunity can be perpetuated? Or are you this are you the replacement? Because you are no system, by the way. You're beautiful, you're amazing, you're brilliant, but you are not a system. Are you the person that has to spin the plates constantly forever in order to make that happen? And pause, personal, a little soliloquy here, okay, a little personal interjection. Just because you have systems doesn't mean you're not going to work hard. Not that doesn't mean you're going to work long and hard and diligently. Success will require lots of personal time investment and work. But what I'm talking about is, are there systems that can magnify your work? Are there systems that can replicate your work? They can duplicate their work. They can sustain your work so that you're going to get way more of an effect, a multiplied effect over your effort, right? Or is it just, I'm here, and as long as I'm here, the things are going to move, the machine's going to move. So those are the 6 points. I've been using them for 20 years now. They have been very, very good to me, and believe me, and I've had a few successes. Well, every company I've ever built has been successful. Doesn't mean we didn't
That's
have
a pretty
failure
good
times.
track record.
Doesn't mean we didn't have failure times, and it doesn't mean that they were without ups and downs. They were all part of the journey. But I think part of it is because I early on mentors introduced this evaluation system to me, so I could easily weed out some of the kind of the sometimes the low hanging fruit that's just right there in front of you that pops you, smacks you in the face, and you think this is it. Oh, wait about what about this or this or this, and or opportunities. I'm telling you, I'm an idea guy. I'm a creator. I'm a visionary. I love bright, shiny, right? And so it's helped temper me to protect me from me. And
I totally get it. You know what? I'm also a creative idea person. And I just love sharing ideas. And I can easily see the shiny object syndrome showing up. And by the way, it's very, very, very common with entrepreneurs. Creative people like to take risks. We see opportunities, makes us feel good. And so the systems, the evaluation system right here is what's going to support all of us to make better decisions. So next week when we meet at the same time, we're going to be looking at the company. How do you choose? How do you evaluate the company, the product, timing, trends, compensation, and the systems? So all of these working together are going to make it a lot easier for us to make decisions that lead to successes more often than challenges, more often than learning opportunities, right? So Seth, my gosh, thank you so much. I just love having these conversations with you. And it's always off the cuff. We never know where it's going to go, and that's the beauty of it, you guys. You're watching in a way what we were talking about today. Um, Seth has knowledge in areas, advanced knowledge in some areas that I want to learn from. At the same time, I have I have some knowledge in areas where I can support him with, right? And so being very clear in that relationship, honoring each other's brilliance. And in this case, I'm bringing to you my mentor. You can clearly see the relationship here. At least I hope you can, right? And so that's the gift that we're bringing to you and demonstrating what it's like, always honoring the other person in when it's their spotlight, if you will, right? And so thank you, Seth. I really, from the bottom of my heart, I so appreciate you, and I love doing this with you. So thank you for saying yes.
I'm having fun. I hope everybody listening is absolutely having fun. Drop us a DM. Give Ann a follow. Let us know how we can help you. Let us know what questions are on your mind. Let us know what topics in cash flow you want. We have an incredible docket coming up, an agenda to really do a data dump and open up your world, right? Open up your cash flow world. And so I'm tickled pink to be here. I had a great time today. We didn't salsa today, but we did waltz. These three things: mindset, being open to opportunity, your network will determine the quality of opportunities, and then we dropped this 6-point evaluation system to find those great opportunities. And then of course, then you get to take the action. And we'll talk
Yep.
more about that 6-point next time. So thank you, Ann.
We were super excited. Thank you, Seth, and thank you everybody for joining us. So we're gonna go ahead and sign off for